to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag. I
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next item on our agenda is Ms. Ernestine Belt, the president of the Cleveland Rotary Club, here to present the presidential citation to the Cleveland High School Interact Club. Ms. Belt?
So just hit this one up. You have to come up here to the podium.
There's a microphone.
There's a microphone for the cameras.
Because you talk like this and nobody can hear that you're saying. Okay. I'm with the Rotary Club of Cleveland. It doesn't work anyway. And I am the New Generations Chair, which means that I work with the younger generations of students and faculty and things like that in our district and in Tarkington schools. So we're part of a District 5910, and we do things with students. So 2 years ago, we took a group of kids to RILA, which is a Rotary Youth Leadership Awards camp that we've been sending kids to for over 20 years. And they came back and said, well, we want to have an Interact Club. We want to have an Interact Club. I said, get a sponsor. You leave the rest to us and we'll take care of it. Well, that happened about 3 years in a row. And about 2 years in a row, nothing happened. You know, you leave it to kids. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Well, last year it happened. They came home from RILA, got a sponsor, and found over 120 kiddos that wanted to join our group, which is the younger part of Rotary. Rotary starts with an Interact Club. Then we have Rotaract clubs at the college level, and then after that you can either join a community club or a Rotary Club like we have. Our membership is open to people. It's by invitation, but if you show up, you're put to work and ready to go. So those kids worked very hard that first year. Each year, the Rotary International President has what is called a presidential citation. And it is a list of things that you are charged to do or not do, it's up to you as a club, to reach certain goals in different areas of humanitarian service and membership and name branding with our club and things like that. And you have certain things you have to do out of each one of the 3, 4, or 5 categories. They can make it as difficult as they want or as easy as they do. So our kids, their very first year of being an Interact Club, won and did all the things for the presidential citation for the Interact Club. And we want to present it to Kathy Staff, who is our current Interact sponsor, and was able to be here. With it being the holiday, our kids scattered and are in school activities. This year, again, we still have somewhere in the neighborhood of over 120 kids, very active. You have to work in partnership with Rotary some and in your community and in an international project. Yes, last year they raised $1,000 to go into partnership with the Rotary Clubs of Cleveland and the rest of the district and Oklahoma City. And their club, their little Interact Club, has their own piece of paper showing exactly where their water well is in Nicaragua. So they're proud of that. But that's Thank you to Kathy and Chris Cocaine. I know that's a weird name, but it is. I asked him if he was really Chris Cobain or Kurt or something like that, and he didn't know what I was talking about. That was nice. So anyway, we're proud of both our sponsors, and they are keeping this club going and having lots of fun. So we're doing good. Thank you very much. would be nice for me to introduce Tommy Daniel, who's also a Rotary member, and Kathy Staff, who is the Interact sponsor from Cleveland High School.
And a former teacher.
Former teacher.
And you too. In this district.
Thank you, Ms. Belt, and the Rotary Club. We appreciate that. We appreciate the great work that you do with the community and with our kids. The next item on the agenda is the Cleveland ISD Child Nutrition Department to be recognized for their completion of the Texas Department of Agriculture's Local Products Challenge. Dr. Myers?
The Texas Department of Agriculture Local Products Challenge is a challenge whereby schools and school food service programs are encouraged to promote Texas products, both citrus grains and milk, while at the same time teaching students about healthy eating and healthy eating of Texas products. And our school nutrition program has been recognized for that. And I'd ask Ms. Mendel to come forward if she would. The certificate reads, in official recognition for Cleveland Independent School District. I should have brought my glasses up here. So if I stumble, it's not because I can't read, it's because I can't see. In honor of their efforts to support Texas agriculture and ensure healthier, thank you, that's all. Healthier future for Lone Star State by serving more Texas products in school meals during the 2017 Local Products Challenge. In testimony whereof I've signed my name and caused the seal of the Texas Department of Agriculture to be affixed in the city of Austin on the 20th day of January, AD 2018. Signed, Sid Miller, Texas Commissioner of Agriculture. So congratulations. Speech.
Thank you. I also wanted to recognize our staff because this award, while we all work together to do it, it only happens because of the ladies that we have out on the floor working. So I'd like to recognize Miss Brantley. You please stand. Miss Carter, our manager at the high school. Miss Caracas, she's our manager at the and she pulls it together in the office and helps us out. So it takes every one of us in the kitchen to make this happen, and we're just really, really proud of this and so glad to show it all.
Our child nutrition program does an excellent job, and if you don't know that, let me be the first to tell you because they're just exceptional. So I appreciate you ladies. Appreciate what you do every day for our kids, and appreciate you, Ms. Mendel.
Thank you very much. I'm super excited.
We appreciate our child nutrition department and all the great work you guys do. Thank you very much. Glad you got this recognition from the Texas Department of Agriculture. The next item on our agenda is open forum. Looks like we have one person signed up. Our local policy for open forum participation is that no presentation shall exceed 3 minutes. The board legally is not allowed to deliberate, or decide or discuss any subject that's not included on the agenda. So we can't really provide any feedback, but you're welcome to present your information. What's your name? Alien Alviar, would you like to come to the podium?
I'm here here based on the athletic program because this year and last year I tried out for baseball and they said that I didn't make the team. And this year I made first cut, but they cut me off the team once again. And they told me the same thing like last year. They said that they were afraid because girls and males and females develop differently. So they were saying that they were worried that I wasn't gonna get strong enough, or like my throwing and everything. And they also said that they were worried that I wasn't gonna get strong based on how much weight I pick up. And so I wrote a petition about it. And the athletic director, whenever in the spring of 2016, my father asked, well, what does my daughter have to do to try out? And the athletic director responded saying that no girl will ever play baseball, and that's why we have softball. And I've been playing baseball for about 6 or 7 years already, and I played with pretty much most of the guys on the team. And about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the athletic director talked to my dad about a scholarship that I would be able to get maybe if I actually tried out for softball. And he also said that since I pitch, that there's a coach that could help me pitch underhand. So they said that because of my arm, since I pitch overhand, that it would be really strong so if I would pitch underhand. But I shouldn't be defined by my gender. Like, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I don't deserve a spot on the baseball team. Some of the guys that I saw that made the baseball team, they had never played in their life. They even told me, they were like, you deserve to be on the baseball team, because I don't. They're like, I've never played. And they said that instead of them being on the team, that I should have made it. And also that they only use some kids just to run. Like, if they have a pitcher and he hits and he gets on base, they just have them as extra people just so they can get on the base and run for them. Other than that, they really never play. So why would you just have someone that just is really fast and running, but he doesn't have any skill whatsoever in order to play the game? Also, most of the guys, like some kids from varsity and other kids from JV, they told me that I deserve to be on the team because they know how well I've played, and they've played with them for many years. And some of the girls from the softball team also told me that I deserve to play. There was even an All-American Girls Professional Baseball League that played during World War II. No one ever had a problem with it. They never told them anything. They just played and did everything that they were supposed to. They didn't worry about if they would get stronger or not. And I shouldn't have to worry about not making the baseball team just because of my gender. Just because I'm a female and they think I'm not going to get strong enough. I can get strong enough, and I've proved to them that I can get stronger, but the coach just doesn't see it in me, and he just keeps saying the same thing, like, because I'm not fast enough, or I'm not strong enough, or anything, and he basically keeps discriminating against me because of my gender. And I have this non-discrimination statement for the UIL. It says, girls may try out for and, if selected, participate in the junior high school or high school baseball plan. However, girls shall not participate in both baseball and girls softball at the same time. And I understand that they said that I can't get discriminated because of my gender, which to me, I have been. And I've also kind of been harassed by them also, because they said that one of the female coaches said that if I was like I should let go of my pride sometimes because she keeps saying that like we have a softball team and I should try out, and she said that maybe if I went and tried out, then maybe we could actually make it to state and other things. And she said that I would have a better chance of getting a scholarship. And a softball coach, he also told me that what if I did make the baseball team, that I wouldn't get playing time because I'm a girl and everything. But I don't think that was true. They just keep doing it just because of my gender, I guess. But
Ms. Alvear, you're over 5.5 minutes. Have you said everything you'd like to say?
yes, sir.
Okay. We can't really respond to what you've said, but I would encourage you to talk to the coaches. And I appreciate you coming before the board tonight. I know that took courage, and you know, it's tough to get up and speak in front of a group of people. But, I just want to encourage you, continue to strive for your dreams. But thank you for coming tonight. The next item on our agenda is our reports. Dr. Myers.
Currently, we have 5,705 students enrolled. Last week, we didn't pick up as many students as we had the previous few weeks, so we got a break last week. Our attendance right now sits at 93.71%, and in that calculation is a day after the 2 ice days that we had when we came back to school, and we were only 70% attendance. So if you look on down in your agenda, there's a waiver for that day that I'm requesting the board to approve so that we can have that 70% day taken off, and when we do, it should bump us back up over the 94% to what we've been doing. I will say this, we're down about a percentage point, and most of that is due to illness and the flu outbreak that we had, and now we're having the stomach virus outbreak. So, and I think round 2 of the type A flu is fixed to come, so hopefully we'll make it through the end of the year with somewhat our attendance intact, but we'll certainly work on that. Early voting for Cleveland ISD board election is April the 23rd, and we only have incumbents that are running for the board this time. So unless we have a write-in that signs up by tomorrow, more than likely we'll be canceling that election in our March meeting. But nonetheless, as it sits today, it begins on April the 23rd. And it'll be at the Civic Center, runs through May 1st. Election day for our board election was set for May the 5th from 7 to 7 at the Cleveland Civic Center, and that would be a joint election along with the city and county as well. Spring break for Cleveland ISD is March the 12th through the 16th. We have early release on that Friday, March the 9th. Our regular board meeting in March is scheduled for the week after spring break, which will be on March the 19th as well. And then the TASB Summer Leadership Institute is June the 14th through the 16th in San Antonio, so if you would put that on your calendars. And be sure to, if you would, just email Ms. Arnold or myself and let us know if you're planning to attend that, so we can make appropriate reservations and so forth for everyone. And that's about all my report. We have a construction update with Mr. Clayton. So Mr. Clayton, you can take off.
All right. Thank you. It's nice to see you again. It seems like we were just here 2.5 weeks ago, but hopefully I can show you a couple new things that have happened in that short span of time here. I have both the middle school and the east side campus here. On your handouts there for the middle school, you can see we're about 76% of the way through construction there, so we're coming close to the finish line. As you can see, you can also tell what campus it is now. We got the signage up on the main entry there, Cleveland Middle School. In the not too distant future, we're also going to have the main logo installed on the yellow brick area to the left. So the exterior signage is well underway there. The doors at the service yard have also been installed within the last 2 weeks there to secure that area. That's where our central chillers and delivery operations take place back in the back house area in the kitchen. We also have all of the items within the mechanical plant installed. We've got the boilers, the hot water heaters, the fire risers, the pumps, and everything for the chillers installed and in operation there. We've also got the lighting and the projection screen installed at the main stage area there at the middle school. Kind of the black line just above where you see the ladder there, that is the electric screen that comes down. The presentations are being made. We've also had the masonite flooring installed at the stage area within the last few weeks. And the group restrooms there in Area A, you can kind of see on the little pictogram in the upper right, these are new game restrooms that are adjacent to the new dining hall there. So we have the plumbing fixtures in, toilets, sinks, urinals, the partitions are in as well. Previous was the boys, this is the girls' restroom. At the same spot, the flooring has been installed, wall tile as well. There are a few items that need to be completed. There's some lighting, mirrors that need to be hung, those restrooms are just about complete. What you're looking at here is the assistant principal and counselor's suite that is adjacent to the media center there within the school. The carpet has been installed. You can see on the right-hand side the low wall has been erected, and we're waiting on the casework and cabinetry to kind of finish out that space. I believe that the people that are assigned to those spaces should be moving in here fairly soon and be able to operate within their spaces. This here, I believe we looked at a slide of this at our last visit. This is the northern classroom wing that's in the existing part of the school here. You can see that we transitioned students from that area to a different place on campus. So we've had workers within that space installing ductwork, electrical runs, fire sprinklers, and things of that nature. You're looking off towards what used to be the old media center there, where they had started and just about completed all of the air conditioning work, but they've also recently erected the walls that will form the 6 new classrooms in that area. If we switch over to the elementary school, we've received the food serving lines. This is one of the things we talked about last time we were together. We're about 85% completion on that project. So there's our serving lines. They've been set and installed. All of the different pop wells, sneeze guards, sliding trays have been put in place. So the kitchen is shaping up nicely here. The vast majority of equipment has been delivered. One of the final remaining items there within the kitchen itself is installing the ANSEL, or the fire suppression system, within the hoods. The dish room has been installed. We've got the dish table there on the left, 3 compartment sinks, and the kitchen is shaping up nicely. We've got the stage curtains installed. The restrooms off to the right-hand side there in the picture. Those are completed. And you can see also that we're kind of looking back towards the food service area. You can see the roll-up doors that come up. So that's the students enter when it's time for lunch. We've got the water dispensers installed outside for the students to use. And here's a shot of one of the computer rooms. Waiting to get the tables and equipment in there. This is one of the rooms that's off of the new media center. That's one of the computer rooms. Here's a shot of a different computer room. They're configured in 2 different ways. One has computers kind of lining the walls in a U shape. The other room has computers, kind of what you might think of in a more traditional classroom setting, all kind of facing the same direction. They're looking at the whiteboard. Giving the students kind of just a different type of learning experience. The ceiling in the media center is coming along, just awaiting some of the trim. You can kind of see the white tabs and some of the edges of the ceiling grid, waiting for the trim to finish out the floating ceiling clouds. The nurse's office has been largely complete. Bedrooms have been installed, refrigerators, got some of the nurse's items in there as well. And the other sliding gate at the service yard here at this campus has also been installed. This one functions a little differently than the middle school. It's an electric 4-level sliding gate that has been installed and is in operation. Making some good progress here over the last 7 weeks. Any questions?
What's the ceiling height in the middle school?
The which part? There are different ceiling heights.
The one that the picture that you showed us with all that duct, it looked like it was kind of low.
The ceiling height, that was in the existing part of the school. The ceilings in there are 9 feet. And they're relatively close to the ceiling, but they don't impact the ceiling. And I believe that was the existing height.
Yeah, they're kind of tight. So
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bobby. Appreciate it.
I think I will. Just a little bit.
To continue with our reports on page 9, you'll see our financials for your review. And then on page 18 of the board package starts our campus and departmental reports. Under information, I asked for our chief of police to kind of give us a report tonight on some grants that we've been fortunate enough to receive. So Chief Evans, if you would, tell us about the grants.
First off, appreciate the opportunity. Most recently received a notice that we received a grant that totals $63,190 times 2, and that's for 2 brand new dispatch consoles that we'll install into the new station, the new support services building. These consoles are very complex and modern, but they can certainly keep up with all of our growth over the next 10 to 20 years without any great deal of difficulties. The software is always able to be updated, and the radios are the most modern radios that you can put in there to affix with these computer-driven systems. And also received notice we received another just under $4,000 grant from the NRA to complete filling out our issued firearms to our officers so that we keep everything standardized in our department. I'm just a firm believer in that in our environment. We need to control what our officers carry and control their training that we do, just like today. We spend all day working pretty hard. So also Crime Stoppers, which is a tri-county program, Montgomery County, Harris County, or excuse me, Montgomery, Liberty, and San Jacinto counties. They have helped us extensively with some new body-worn cameras, ECDs. They've also helped us with body armor and training aids for techs. So that was pretty phenomenal. That went into several thousands of dollars from that organization as well. And I can sit here and read a list. There's some local entities that have also helped. Of course, Anderson Ford has helped tremendously with our K-9 program. Allen's Garage of Cleveland has donated a lot of our PR type things, like the little badge stickers and stuff like that, the little pencils and different things that we hand out at programs. Martin Dodge has helped us with some of our K-9 program also. They did all the solar tinting on the K-9 unit to help keep Tex as cool as possible, keep the heat off of him. Big Thicket Vet Clinic, they're phenomenal. They have helped us through Julian when we had him, and then also with Tex. They have never charged us a dime for any type of veterinary care for both of our dogs that we've had. Circle H Feed, I mean, what can I say there? Both the dogs have been fed very well and they've never charged us to feed either one of our canines. So that has saved us quite a bit of money, especially with Tex. Tex is a big dog. I found that out today. I'm sorry. I got tackled by him a little bit as we were practicing and what have you, but big dog. Canine for Cops and the Canine Academy of Houston donated quite a bit of money also, a little over $10,000 to help match what Anderson Ford was helping with to obtain Tex. Tex was a very expensive canine, but he's certainly one of the most highly trained canines in Southeast Texas. He's actually gets called on quite a bit to help in searches for children and adults alike. So he's been phenomenal. Good Promotions of Cleveland has helped us quite a bit. Couple thousand of dollars from them. Lone Star Products and Equipment have helped us by donating some radio implements that we use in our cars and what have you. That was about $4,000 worth of equipment that they've donated. Smith Towing, J&J Towing, they are just unbelievable. We've done some really huge, large-scale exercises, as y'all are aware of. The superintendent has been very gracious in allowing us to do those types of activities that we can invite all these people, and they would not be possible without Smith and J&J and their heavy-duty wreckers. And those are very expensive. Just to crank one up is probably $1,000 or more. So to use those trucks like they do, and they don't charge for the personnel or anything, has been phenomenal in helping us have that training possible. You're looking at nearly, between both drills that we did, probably close to between $15,000 and $20,000 that we've been able to save, or that they donated through time and material and their vehicle, fuel, so on and so forth. So I'm just kind of going through some of the local things that have helped us. Tractor Supply, same thing. They actually came across with a couple of chainsaws and fuel and the implements for the chainsaws. So, you know, who would have thought, but we've actually had to use them 3 different times during storms to clear our buses so that they can continue on their route. It's always interesting to watch John Shannon, Captain Shannon, argue with the chainsaw when it doesn't crank the first couple of times, and that brings about a lot of humor for all of us when we're out there in those thunderstorms. CBS Furniture donated about $2,500 with our little lobby that we were able to build in our current facility a few years ago. Ranch Hand has donated tons of food during those drills. I mean, we're talking feeding up to 200 people, and they have never even asked for a dime. I've offered to pay, worked with the school district and finance, and we've offered to pay, and they absolutely refuse to take a dime from us. So I just wanted to kind of to bring all that out. In total, with all the things that we've been able to get, and all the people who pitched in to help us, we're well over $300,000, getting close to $400,000 that we've been able to bring in to help this police department. And to maintain our recognized status has also helped us in those endeavors. To be one of 5, as y'all recall, ISD police departments in the state to attain that. And you're talking about departments like from Katy and Springs, some really nice agencies who can't pull that off, and we've been able to do it. And that really does help us when you go before the 100 Club in downtown and do different things like that. So I just wanted to share that with y'all so that you know that I'm doing everything I can to help offset the cost and save the district as much money as I can so that y'all can allocate those funds elsewhere. But obviously at times, you know, it is what it is. I got to come to you. But we've been very fortunate and very blessed. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. And before I step off, I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Myers and thank you to this board, because we'd not have the opportunity if it were not for y'all. And then also, obviously, have got to thank my department. And when I say that we have the best cops in the county, if not in the state, we really do. I mean it. You just can't find. I've worked other places, and I just cannot remember more dedicated people to helping children in my career. So thank y'all very much. I really appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you.
Under informational items, I have one thing for the board. The 85th legislature passed a law that requires trustees to complete 3 hours of training every biennium to deal with evaluating student academic performance. And the good thing about that is we can also count that training as our 3 hours of team of 8. So it does a double duty in that biennium for the team of 8 training. If you look at the bottom of page 34, it gives the date of Wednesday, August the 22nd, for Chambers and Liberty counties to be trained for that. If you would put that on your calendar and save that spot. They haven't determined the time or place yet, but they will shortly, probably during the summer. But if you would save that evening, it will be an evening event, I'm 99% sure. So if you would save that, put it on your calendar, we can get our academic training as well as our team of 8 on that day. And that's all I have, Mr. President. Oh, wait, that's not all I have, Mr. President. I should have looked at the agenda before I said that. One of the things I want to talk to the board about, and I'll bring it up here just as a point of information, is our district realignment. And now that we've been realigned, the 5A, our football district is pretty vast. Everything from Bryan Road, College Station A&M, down to Rosenberg, Lamar, so forth, and Katy. So we have a very vast football district, and it's on the western side of everything for us as far as football is concerned. Now, because volleyball, basketball, softball, baseball, all of those will be on the eastern side of the state, over to Port Arthur, Fodder, Fort Hays Groves, in that area. So theoretically, on Friday night, we could have a football team that plays at College Station and a volleyball team that plays at Bible or Port Arthur Memorial or someplace like that. So we're going to have kids going in a lot of different directions. One of the things that concerns, well, there's a couple of things that concern me. One is transportation. We're going to have to budget for some special transportation, especially during the football season. Because we're not going to have buses or bus drivers to be able to pull those buses off the line early enough. There are kids there to hold the band in football in order to compete in some of those out-of-town games like in Bryan and so forth. And if we do pull the buses off the line, along with the drivers will be efficient on the drivers that need the kids home that Friday afternoon. So we have to look at some type of privatization contract or something along those lines for those event games. The other thing that concerns me is the night leaves for basketball, baseball, volleyball, those type of folks. They're going to be traveling to Port Arthur and Varder. They're going to be playing, the sub-varsity games and the varsity game, and they're going to feed them. And by the time they get back here on a Tuesday night, it's going to be 12:30 in the morning. So I want to plant the seed that we may want to start looking at some type of activity buses for our kids that are having to travel on those weeknights. Volleyball, basketball, those type. And when I say activity buses, there's different types of activity buses. Not necessarily a coach, but an activity bus that does have separate seating with lights, so that hopefully we don't penalize those kids academically, that they can at least do some work on the bus, on the ride back, or the ride to be able to be ready for class the next day. And that may entail that we have to do something with some limited type of internet on that bus. There have been schools that have done that in the past, and they started with a lot of bandwidth. They learned bandwidth, and they learned real quick that YouTube takes up a lot of bandwidth, so they cut that back to where you can't get on YouTube and things like that, but you can get your classwork done if you need to get on the internet. So I want to plant the seed with the board that we need to be thinking about those kids that are participating in that, because a lot of those kids that are participating in those activities or some scholarly kids, and they probably should be punished because they want to be involved academically. We'll certainly, I'll bring it back around to you, let you form an opinion on it before we discuss it again. So just wanted to put that out there. Now I'm finished, Mr. President.
Any questions for the other administrators or department heads' reports that are included in your board packet? If not, then the next item on the agenda is bills and payroll.
Page 36 starts with bills and payroll, and I would recommend to the board that we approve payment of those.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Ronnie, second from Aaron. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a budget amendment in the amount of $37,306 for the 2017-2018 school year.
That's on page 59 of the board packet, and I would ask Ms. Billingsley if she would to talk about that budget amendment.
Okay, the first section on the revenue is to budget what we received for the $35 million that we just sold in January as part of that $80 million that was approved. And the next section are the expenditures for $199. I'm moving money out of function 11 and function 52 to cover overtime and extra duty that the officers had to do, and then also for some cameras and stuff that we had to put in and to repair. The next section is fund 599, and that is to budget the bond payments on the new debt that we just issued. Fund 697 is the $35 million that we just approved, and I have split the expenditures between the three projects right now because we don't have any kind of estimates on how much each one will be yet, and I'll adjust that later. And then Fund 699 is moving around money out of that for furniture and equipment that we're providing through the bond payments. So the whole budget amendment is $37,306,105. Any questions?
Do we want to talk about, I know this is not part of this budget amendment, but while I have you, and we're talking finance, do we want to talk about the comp ed issue that we have?
Okay.
It's not a bad issue, but it is kind of, go ahead if you want to speak.
Okay. We got, well, we didn't get notice. I found out through some TASBO people that were talking online that we got some money, or a lot of districts got money added to their comp ed money because of us offering free meals at the party. So what TA does is take the top 6 months of your free and reduced lunch count to determine how much you're going to receive for comp ed. And because we had that, it made us a little over $1 million extra in comp ed money. So the issue with that is that we have to spend 52% of that directly on students. And so we talked to the principals about some ways that we can spend that money. It's about $500,000 to $600,000 we're going to have to spend for officer cars on all that direct services. So that's blessing. Also, we're gonna have to jump through some hoops to spend that money between now and I've contacted TA and just asked them, you're letting us know this halfway through the year and, nobody budgeted this stuff. And they're like, well, yeah, there's some suggestions on how to spend it, basically the ones we already know about, so.
Are there any stipulations on what you can spend it on?
It has to be on at-risk kids. So we have to spend it maybe on tutoring, there's different things like that.
Computers?
It's pretty
anything
tight.
like that?
Well, you have to track them and only at-risk kids can be on the computers. So,
It's pretty tight as far as the regs on that are concerned, that, for instance, any hardware or anything like that you buy, only those at-risk kids can utilize it, not all the kids in the campus can utilize it. So what we tend to focus on is direct instruction with those kids, whether it's bringing in tutors with those kids or whether it's having an extended school year with them in the summer, things like that, for the most part. It gets to be a pretty sticky wicket when you start buying computers and so forth, because before you know it, those are in a regular classroom and now we have issues.
So what happens if we don't get all this money spent?
well, they actually do a 3-year average, and at the end of the 3 years, you have not spent it, then they'll start taking it away from your foundation.
Oh, that figures.
Normal state activity.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna help you, if you don't use it, we're gonna hurt you. So that's pretty much the way it comes down.
But are we almost, we have a high at risk.
Yes.
So, okay.
We already have a high at-risk amount, and plus, because we did the 3, and there's other schools in the same boat right now.
Can that money be used for the coaches program or some of
It
that
is.
money?
It already is.
Oh,
We use it for the Douglas program, DAED.
We already pay for a lot of salaries and so forth out of the comp ed type. This is like over and above what we got budgeted in the budget that comes from comp ed. So it'll be a challenge. It'll be a nice challenge, but nonetheless, it will be a challenge. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Billingsley.
Okay, so for the budget amendment in the amount of $37,306,105.
So moved.
A motion, please. Aaron, any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the minutes from the public hearing and regular meeting of February the 1st. Do I have a motion, please?
so moved.
Motion from Aaron, second from Christie. Any questions, discussion, or corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a proposal for an additional position. Dr. Myers?
We have, at the middle school, the need right now for an additional life skills aide. Our life skills classes continue to grow. And right now, we're at about a 4 to 5 to 1 ratio with those students in there. And we really need to have another aide in there with that teacher to try to facilitate those kids. So I would ask that we be allowed to hire an aide for that life skills program at the middle school.
Are they at risk?
I don't know that, Ms. Saxton, Jim Blackstone, I don't know. I don't think being special education necessarily makes you at risk.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
I was serious. But I don't know, I'm sure if they were, it would be something we would pay out of.
We actually, we have sections of the foundation that we get money for special ed, at-risk, bilingual, and so forth. We have to meet a certain percentage on all of those. So, the instructional aids for special ed have
Do I have a motion, please? Motion from Christie.
Second.
Second from Aaron. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item is a resolution to compensate employees for days missed on January 16th and 17th as a result of the winter storm. Dr. Myers?
That resolution's on page 66 of your board packet, and essentially that holds our employees held harmless with regard to their salaries, and I would ask that you approve that resolution.
So moved.
Motion from Kelly,
Second.
second from Aaron. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's recommendation to award the bid proposal for Cleveland ISD grounds maintenance services.
On page 68, we have a spreadsheet that was prepared by Ms. Ginger Deck, who Ms. Deck has taken over our procurement for the school district, as well as doing our RFPs and RFQs. As you see on page 68, Ms. Deck has scored each one of the companies, and she's recommending that we go with the lower bid of Four Seasons, even though they don't have the top score.
Who did it last year?
Four Seasons.
Were we satisfied with him?
Mr. Lee, are you satisfied with Four Seasons?
Yeah. I mean, we got bids every year, that's what I love competition. Four Seasons, they do have a 50 job. As most companies, you can always improve, but they react to anything I ask them to do. I'm not stuck on Four Seasons, but they do have a good job, and I can't work with them.
So moved.
Motion from Ronnie, second please.
Second.
Second from Kelly. Any other questions or discussion? Not all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's recommendation to accept request for proposal for district's delinquent tax collection contract.
As you know, each year essentially we come up with our delinquent taxes, and Linebarger et al. Has been doing our taxes, Mr. Mendoza, and they've done a good job as far as that's concerned. However, our contract with them is up this February, so it's the board's pleasure as to whether we go out for bids, or request, I shouldn't say bids, request for qualifications from other delinquent tax attorneys, including Linebarger, or whether we extend the contract with Linebarger. So I'll leave that at the board's pleasure.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I make the motion to go with Linebarger.
Okay. We have a motion to stick with Linebarger from Kelly, and a second from Christie. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is the Cleveland High School Course Selection Guide for the 2018-2019 school year.
The course selection guide begins on page 70 in your board packet, and as noted, the changes are highlighted in yellow that are being recommended to the board. And as far as the changes that we're recommending, I certainly support those. One of the most significant changes I would just point out to the board is the designation of a modified scale on academic class rankings for those students who may take modified classes and have extra assistance with assignments and so forth, or extra time, or have some modified type of academics. And that's on page 80 of the course selection, or excuse me, on page 80 of your board packet. So I would recommend approval of our course selection guide for 2018-2019.
So move.
Motion from Ronnie, a second from Aaron. Any questions or discussion? So these items are going to impact student ranking for graduation purposes?
That's correct.
Okay. And we've figured out all the ins and outs of that calculation?
Yeah, it's always interesting every year, but as far as this is concerned, what it does is it actually protects the academic integrity of the class ranking system, so that those that are ranked in that system are actually students that had the full gist of the course and did not have modified courses.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is furniture quotes for Cleveland Middle School and Eastside Elementary School.
We're in those quotes begin on page 146 for the board. We're in the process for the stage of construction now where we're beginning to need to start buying furniture to furnish those different areas of the new school building. We moved some of the old furniture in, and some of that furniture that we've used at the middle school was furniture that was bought in 1976 when we had that building. There are some retro chairs there that are yellow that, Miss Myers told me it looked like Austin Powers type stuff. So, I think they're coming back around, so we may want to we have a need for furniture. Furniture is always an issue as far as paying for it. Back in the old days, we were able to generate enough interest off of investing our bond money to be able to furnish the building, and that's certainly gone by the wayside. So what I would say to the board is my intent and my plan to be able to furnish these buildings without costing necessarily us going into our pocket or going into our fund balance is we have a very healthy owner's contingency on both of those projects still. We haven't used any of that contingency, so to speak. So being able to utilize that owner's contingency out of the construction budget itself, I believe we can get most of the furnishings that we need. Now, I would say that on one of those buildings to the east side, it's only about $150,000 because we started with the $250,000, and we're going to wind up needing to. I'm getting in the weeds here. We're going to wind up needing to do the balancing of the air out of that, but to save some money. But that still should be enough. When we partnered with the other project, it's going to have about $350,000 in owner contingency in it. So we're looking at should have enough money. Unless something unforeseen happens with those projects, we should have enough money to do what we need to furnish our buildings with that. So I would recommend that we start this process of furnishing the library furniture and also our office furniture as well.
Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Kelly? Motion from Kelly and second from Aaron. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Yeah. That's messed up.
No, I'm so messed up. Where are we?
7-0. Yeah, I just wrote it above it. The next item on our agenda is the proposed academic calendar for the 2018-2019 school year.
That calendar that's been proposed is on page 149 of the packet. The process was we go to the site-based decision-making committee or our district improvement committee, and they have input on this calendar. However, I will say that the calendar is getting such, with all the parameters that are put in place, that it's getting tougher and tougher each year to come up with different ideas about the calendar that even makes sense. This calendar came out of that committee, along with another calendar. We put it out for the faculty and the staff in option A and option B. Option A was the overwhelming choice as far as the faculty was concerned, and I bring it to you tonight. Feeling good about this calendar. One of the things that I feel good about is even though we're going to go through the district innovation process and probably in the future we'll start school earlier, this calendar does have us starting on the 27th of August, which is late, which I like given our construction and to ensure that everything's set, ready to go. We've had time to move everything that we need to move from campuses to campus, and just gives us a little bit extra time at the first of the year. So I submit this calendar to you and ask for your approval.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion from Lonnie.
Second.
Second from Aaron. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is the 2019 Indianet Handbook.
That begins on page 150 there, and as you can read through the handbook, not any significant changes from last year. Our Indianets do a fantastic job, and our dance teachers do an excellent job with them. And I would ask for you to approve their handbook.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion from Aaron.
I'm not sure we have to approve it anymore. It's not saying that we have to approve that anywhere here.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's already filled in,
Okay.
so just right above it,
Okay.
that Aaron made the motion.
Okay.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second from Kelly.
Since there wasn't a change, I guess you still do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a rough order of magnitude estimate for the Cleveland High School bleacher replacement project.
I'm gonna ask the board if it suits the board that we have a dedicated meeting just to that project. I don't know what the board's calendars, the trustees' calendars look like, but I would like to try to meet on the 26th of this month to dedicate just a meeting strictly to that project because there's a lot of moving parts with that. And I want to say that, you know, we're looking in the range of $600,000 to $700,000 for the stands and the press box at the football stadium for the home side. And then right now I have Sturdy Steel and Sadalco working together to utilize that material that comes out of the existing stands to be able to put bleachers together for the baseball and softball fields that are adequate because we're in desperate need of both. So I would ask the board if we may not have a special meeting just for that.
That'll be next Monday?
Yes, sir. If that pleases the board.
Good with me.
Okay, so for this agenda item, do we need a motion to postpone
I would ask
to a special meeting?
I would ask that we table it to a special meeting.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. President.
Say
I thought it was, for the board's information, I thought I would have it all tonight, but I just haven't got all the information that I feel comfortable in presenting to you. I want to make sure that our numbers are solid.
Okay, so we have a motion to postpone to a special meeting, possibly on the 26th, and we'll nail down the date. Motion from Ronnie, second from Aaron. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion to postpone passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the proposed low attendance day waiver with TEA for January the 18th. Dr. Myers.
January the 18th was the day I was referring to that was after our ice storm. And we were at 70% attendance, which is well below our average. I would ask the board to approve for us to seek a waiver from Texas Education Agency for attendance on that day.
We have a motion, please. Motion from Kelly, second from Christie. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is a resolution to nominate Dr. Darrell D. Myers as TASB Superintendent of the Year.
I'll make a motion to nominate him.
Second.
Woo-hoo. Very excited about that one, weren't we?
Motion from Kelly and second from Aaron.
All of us.
Yeah.
We all want to
we
go.
all
I'll take that
agree,
second.
definitely.
Thank
If nothing else, we've succeeded in embarrassing him tonight.
Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated.
At least we didn't lift him on our shoulders and walking around with the leaders.
Officially, everybody in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
Can I cash that check now?
Give me a couple of days.
The next item on the agenda involves the restricting the use of the Cleveland High School football stadium by the general public. Dr. Myers?
We've been having some issues now that we have turf on our field. it got out, we wanted to keep the stadium open and we tried for our community to be able to walk on the track, but social media being the way that it is, it got posted that our stadium was open. We had flag football leagues playing over on Sundays. We had some pretty rowdy soccer games with adult beverages and everything out in the field. And it's just not working, which is a shame because we would like to be able to let the community enjoy that. But given the situation that we have, I would recommend that we close that stadium to the general public for use.
So moved.
Motion from Ronnie.
Second.
Second from Aaron. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the special warranty deed conveying approximately 30 acres of land to Cleveland ISD from Colony Ridge Development LLC for the building of schools. Dr. Myers.
Page 169 is a special warranty deed in your board packet. This warranty deed has been to our attorney, Aquabom Wardell, and gone through a couple of changes in working with Colony Ridge's attorneys. And our attorney seems to be happy with it, that it's pretty standard now. Would point out that the operation of school restrictions, number 2 is that the property is restricted for public school or to serve the needs of the community through a public school, and that remains in effect for 50 years from the date of the document, which is pretty standard when folks donate land to the school. But I would recommend that we accept the special warranty deed of the 30.42 acres.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion from Aaron. Second, please.
Second.
Second from Ronnie. Any other questions or discussion?
On this, it has an exhibit that goes with it, but it wasn't in here. It's this piece of property. Which one is this?
I'm sorry.
It had an exhibit, I guess, that went with it describing the piece of
It
property.
was, I'm sorry, it was, let's see.
It's at the corner,
It's the corner of
is that San Marcos?
San Marcos Drive and I don't remember the other road. It's probably about 300 yards or to 400 yards away from the commercial center there, back toward the northeast of it, or excuse me, northwest of it.
So this is the new one, the new subdivision?
It is in the Santa Fe new subdivision.
I'm just curious
And,
which one was.
we've looked at it, our surveyors, or excuse me, our engineers have looked at it, and they feel comfortable with the site, and we're doing the geotechnical on it and doing the survey as well, as soon as the board approves.
This is the site that our architects showed us elementary and middle school on the same site. If you remember where it was drawn on that.
Right, I knew there was that one, and then there was another
Yeah.
smaller one.
Yeah, this is the larger track.
Okay.
I apologize for the exhibit not being in the board packet.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda involves the possible nomination of a local candidate to serve on the TASB Region 4 Board of Directors, position C.
Anyone interested?
What's the board's pleasure?
I'll nominate Aaron. I second the motion.
Kiki?
I got that second.
Quick. Joking, right? Yeah, that's my question. I'm waiting to write down. Is Aaron willing to serve?
I'm sorry, what? What do we do? Like, what do I do for that one? Or would I
It will
have to-
be, you'll be on the Region Advisory Council for the Texas Association of School Boards. There could be an election if somebody else decides to run for that position, so they're calling for, obviously, for, or they're calling for nominations for folks that want to serve, so possibly could be an election. And essentially what they do is basically advise the Texas Association of School Boards about the Region 4 and what Region 4 needs to see from CISD as far as legislative services and things of that nature.
Normally, we make a motion not to take action. So,
No pressure.
No.
I was just kidding, but if you want.
Oh, okay, no, we're good.
Okay, I'll make a motion not to take action.
How
Next
often
year.
do they meet?
That I'm not sure, usually quarterly, but some of that depends on the legislative year. And in legislative years, they tend to meet a little bit more.
Would I have to leave the district for meetings, or would it just be like?
The meetings are generally held at the Regional Service Center, which is off of 290.
Oh, right.
290 in Tidwell. It's a great drive.
The traffic's great, too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're feeding you more and more rope, Aaron. You know that.
Oh, I know, I know. Yeah.
We're all smiling like this.
Well, I make a motion to take no action on that.
Okay. that's-
Give me a second that. Second.
Okay. So we're gonna let Aaron off the hook. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, taking no action? Okay.
Thanks for coming out there.
The next item on the agenda is nominating someone for the Liberty County Appraisal Review Board.
We have on page 180, the letter from the CAD. What I would say is we have a representative on that board that we've elected. This is for an at-large position that Mr. Frege had previously held from Precinct 3. And there's a remaining 2-year term on that position when he resigned as of December the 31st, or excuse me, starting January the 1st of 2018 through December the 31st. And they've got the wrong dates there, it should be 2020. But anyway, it's the board's pleasures whether you want to nominate someone else from our community or not.
What's the deadline for this? Does it say?
That's February 22nd.
February the 21st, 5 o'clock. And they're going to fill the position, that board will fill the position, won't be an election, that board will fill the position on their meeting Thursday, February the 22nd.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure? Yeah, well, you almost hate to nominate someone that you haven't talked to and ask if they're willing to serve, right?
By tomorrow.
Yeah.
I say we take no action.
Okay, so the item, I have a motion from Kelly to take no action. Second from Aaron. All those in favor of taking no action? Motion passes 7-0.
I would point to the board, because of the short timeline, that was received on January the 26th, so they didn't give us a lot of time.
Was this Milton interested in doing this again, or do you know?
He resigned.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah. That's why they're looking to fill the position. All right. The next item on the agenda is a resolution declaring March 6, 2018 as March for Education Day.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with the news with public schools and some of the politics that are going on at the state level with regard to Freedom of Information Act requests made to public schools and some of the schools that have been, I guess, sanctioned by the Attorney General for Voting Rights Act. I guess, for lack of a better term, I'm choosing my words carefully here, not doing what they're supposed to. We have no issues with Voting Rights Act or any infractions as far as we're concerned. We don't put out anything to vote for a particular candidate. We don't emphasize block voting or anything like that by our faculty and staff. However, we do encourage our faculty and staff to set an example for our kids and to model what a citizen should be. And a citizen should be politically active at the polls. And so that's the reason for this resolution. I think if the state is going to charge us with ensuring that we provide registration materials for our high school students, and that we encourage them to vote, that they shouldn't be squelching employees' rights to vote at the same time at the state level. And we have some of those bully pulpit tactics going on as we speak. And we've got hit with some Freedom of Information Act requests that are taking an inordinate amount of time that we've charged or basically told them that we would charge for. So with all that said, this resolution just means that March the 6th, we're going to officially recognize as March the Vote Day for our kids, for our teachers, for our community, for everybody to be involved in the political process and get out and vote, whatever your political persuasion is, or your thoughts and ideas, to vote for the best candidate that you believe is going to represent our community and our values. So I would encourage the board to pass this resolution. It's certainly nothing against the Voter Rights Act.
Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a second, please. Second from Christie. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is the results from the December 2017 end-of-course administration. Dr. Myers.
Ms. Silverville? Oh, okay. Ms. Dawn, you're up.
Good evening, Dr. Myers. I'm here to present the results of the summer EOC testing at Cleveland High School and Douglas Learning Academy. This was a retest administration for students who had previously tested and been unsuccessful. The table includes the number of students tested at each of those two campuses, the number of students who met standard and passed, and the percentage of students passing for that campus. Please note that CHS Cleveland High School and Douglas Learning Academy are listed separately to give you a better idea of what our numbers look like at each campus. The asterisk indicates that the number of students tested was too low for the station to include, which is fewer than 5 students. Thank you for your time, and I invite you to look over the data, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
That data is on page 185 of your board packet.
In the Algebra 1, out of 121 students that were tested, only 20 passed.
That is correct.
Again, this is a retest, Aaron. These are all students who have taken the test and
Oh,
have not
over.
passed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is a second
For many, the third.
administration or third, yeah.
I would also point out that when we talk about Algebra 1, most of our kids, not most of our kids, but our top mathematic kids take that to 8th grade, pass it to 8th grade, so they're not included in the high school as well. So out of all the kids in the high school, there are 121 that have not passed that particular Algebra 1 test.
Which is, we got what, 1,400?
About
1,400 kids, so 121 out of 1,400, whatever that percentage, less than 10%.
Took the test. This is how many of those have passed. So, 1,400
Any other questions? Just a suggestion for our reference, it might help for the board to see the percentage that have passed the test, just so we can compare.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's
Where,
exactly what I was gonna say.
where we are. Of course, I guess we can reverse calculate it. If there's 121 that haven't passed it, if we know the total number of students, we can come close to getting that, but.
We will have that for you next time when we present.
How many freshmen approximately do we have?
522.
Oh. Approximately. Okay, so we have,
Okay. But this can't be freshmen because the freshmen haven't even taken the whole year. So this is like sophomores and juniors and seniors that didn't pass English ones.
No, probably a
It's-
third of your freshmen have passed out.
well, I was looking at English.
But English 1 would be sophomores and juniors and seniors who have not.
Yes.
Because
none of
freshmen
these
have
would be
not.
first-time
Right.
freshmen.
But what about English 2?
That would, not freshmen, but
Right.
that's upper class.
All of these are retesters.
Okay.
One of the problems we're gonna have with English is gonna be language.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse, it's just a fact.
Do we give it in Spanish?
No, ma'am. The test is not, beyond the grade that the test is not required.
Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the first reading of the proposed EIC local policy regarding academic achievement, class ranking. Dr. Myers.
That's on page 186, and this is what we talked about in the student course selection guide. If you noticed on the student course selection guide, under that table, it said pending board approval for that table. And that's exactly what this is a change to our local policy for grading. We did not have any modified weights in there for those students who are taking modified type classes. So this is the first reading of that policy, and I would ask if you have any questions or anything, be sure to drop me a note or email me or call me or whatever, and I'll try to find somebody that can answer it for you.
So there's no action on that that tonight, but do read through it, and if you have questions, contact Dr. Myers. The next item on the agenda is a recess. Board will convene in executive session.